Hi, I'm Chloe and I'm a perinatal worker for the East Hertfordshire Family Centre Service, and today we're going to be talking about safer sleep. There can be many factors that will have an impact on the safety of your baby whilst they sleep, so today we're going to look through some of the do's and don'ts and take a look at the safest way that your baby can be left to sleep. So the first one, the first point that we would recommend is to ensure that the room temperature is between 16 and 20 degrees. If baby is too hot or cold, they will be more likely to be distressed and they can be at higher risk of sudden infant death syndrome. So it's very important to just keep their temperature between 16, keep the room temperature between 16 and 20 degrees, keeping them nice and at a nice average temperature. It's also important to dress baby accordingly. So if it's quite cold outside, we would recommend a vest with a baby grow and quite a thick tog sleeping bag. If they get too hot, you can always remove a layer, but just to be safe to start off with. And then if it's quite warm outside, you could just use a thinner baby grow and a thinner vest and just a very thin tog sleeping bag. And that's sort of the best recommendations. Your baby should also be sleeping in the same room as you for the first 6 months. After they've turned 6 months, you can put them in their own room, but we do recommend to have a baby monitor where you can still see and hear them if they need anything. Another point would be the safest mattress for your baby is just a firm, flat, waterproof one. You can then get a fitted sheet to put over the top, so it's just a little bit more comfortable for your baby to lie on. But pillows and cushions are not needed. They can become more of a risk. They could suffocate if they sort of turned over their face into a pillow. A blanket could also rise up over their face and restrict their breathing, so it's best to just be left. If you do want to put a cover over them, then the clip-on sleeping bags that you can get for babies, which just clip on over their shoulders, they're usually recommended. If you do want to use a blanket, then you can just use one and just make sure it's tucked in very tightly and just no further up than their shoulders, so that it's not going to have as much of a risk of going over their face. You also don't need to put anything in the cot like cuddly toys, other loose blankets or any type of sheets. Just a fitted sheet will do. You don't need to put any blankets or anything like that in there unless it's just the one that's tucked in. They can also increase the risk of SIDS. Be sure as well to place your baby in the feet to foot position. So this is where when baby's lying in their cot on their back, their feet are right at the bottom, just touching the bottom of the cot, and leaving plenty of space between their head and the top of the cot. And another point to remember is that your baby's hands and feet will be a lot cooler than the rest of their body, so it might not be an accurate representation of their actual temperature. So to feel the warmest parts of their body, you could feel their neck or their belly. And if they're feeling a bit hot and sweaty, you can just remove a layer of clothing or their blanket that they've had on. We would recommend as well no smoking or not allowing guests to smoke around your baby. If you do smoke, it's advisable just to wash your hands thoroughly between each cigarette, so that when you're holding your baby, the smoke isn't on your skin. And also to change your clothes before handling your baby. So if you've had a cigarette, just wash your hands, change your clothes, just to prevent baby breathing in all of the excess smoke. A little bit on COVID-19 and safer sleep. If you are showing symptoms of COVID-19, try not to cough and sneeze over your baby where possible, and ensure they have their own sleeping space. So try to place them in their own Moses basket or cot, just to keep them kind of separate from you whilst you're sleeping. If your baby's showing signs of having a cold or a fever, try not to wrap them up too much. Babies actually need fewer layers to regulate their body temperature. So it's best to just you can always add layers, but it's best not to overheat them. So that's all for today. If you do need anything else or have any questions, please do feel free to get in touch with the Family Centre Service and we will get back to you. Thank you.